So we've talked about measuring to the nearest inch and the nearest half inch. Now we're going to talk about measuring to the nearest quarter of an inch. Okay, the nearest quarter of an inch. And you know what? We can actually use the same 3-inch line that we drew for the nearest half inch. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to make those inches into quarters. Okay, so this inch, you can see it has 4 parts, right? And this next inch, I'm going to give 4 parts. All right, and then this next inch over here is going to have 4 parts. So, measuring to the nearest quarter of an inch, that does not mean I have to say something in a quarter. So if you're thinking, if I ask you, whoops, how long is this line measured to the nearest quarter of an inch? How long is this line measured to the nearest quarter of an inch? Don't tell me 2 3/4, right? Don't tell me 2 3/4, that's only to here. Don't tell me 3 1/4, that's all the way out here. Okay? The answer is the same. It's 3 inches. Okay, it's 3 inches measured to the nearest quarter of an inch. Because you have to just be able to count by quarters. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, that's 1 inch. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, that's 2 inches. Right? Does that make sense? Thumbs up, thumb sideways, or thumbs down? Okay, and you're going to practice it today to see. And just so you see when you have the ruler, how you're actually measuring these lines. Okay, most of you have some good practice already with the ruler, but I'm just going to draw a straight line. I say I want you to measure this line to the nearest inch. So let's give you a little practice and you try it out. Here's the, whoops, that's a little blurry. Okay, here we go. Alright, measure this line to the nearest inch, and you're going to look at it when I put the ruler on and see what you think. Okay? So this line to the nearest inch. Everybody have a thought in their head what the answer is? So I drew that line. Look, it's past the half, so it's closer to the 4 than the 3. So the nearest inch equals, whoops, you can't see it, equals 4 inches. Okay? Because it's closer to the 4 than the 3. We're not talking about halves, we're not talking about quarters, nothing else. Now I say I want you to measure it to the nearest half inch. Okay, the same line. We're going to measure to the nearest half inch. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Measured to the nearest half inch. Think about what your answer is. Think about what your answer is. Okay, so measured to the nearest half inch. Look, I asked myself, is it closer to the 3, the 3 1/2, or the 4? Okay? You should ask yourself the same question, and it would be closer to the 3 1/2. So to the nearest half inch, this line is 3 1/2 inches. Right? Now let's check one more. Let's do to the nearest quarter of an inch. Oops. Nearest quarter inch. Okay? And that's going to equal, let's see, nearest quarter inch. Put it here. Measure to here. So I'm asking myself, what is it closer to? Is it closer to the 3, this quarter mark, this half mark, this quarter mark, or the 4? Okay? Now this one is quite close. I'm going to say it's closer to 3 1/2. Alright? But if you had your ruler over just a little bit more, that line were just a tiny bit longer, you could say 3 3/4. Okay? Thumbs up or thumbs sideways, thumbs down. I want to see if you guys are getting the idea of this. Okay, I'm not seeing some thumbs. Put your thumbs up or sideways or down. Okay, so you're going to practice with it and see. So that's also 3 1/2 inches. Alright, so it doesn't have to have a quarter on it. Alright, it might end in a half, it might end in just a regular inch, or it might end in a quarter. Alright, so that's how you do that. That's how you do that. Alright, so those are our